boredom. It's a feeling that most of the children today may never experience this again. It's not because they don't want to, but it's because we have intentionally excluded it from their lives. And that should worry us. Now, before I speak about Generation Beta, I want you all to recollect something. It's not about your first phone or about your favorite gaming app. It's about your childhood. Maybe it was you lying on the floor and staring at the ceiling. Or it was you sitting on your bed, getting immersed in deep thoughts. Or maybe it was you doing absolutely nothing. Now be honest with yourself. Would that kind of childhood still exist if you were born today? Now I'd like to tell about my little cousin who came to stay with us last month. From the moment she came, more than me hear her speak, I heard a lot of alarms. Alarm to wake up, that's quite common. Alarm to drink water, alarm to eat at the right time, alarm for playtime, alarm for family time. And what's more, she even has multiple reminders from various apps. And I guess one among them is from her favorite Hobby Time app. She almost has 20 alarms in just one day. I guess she trusts in those alarms more than her own brain. Well, the truth is, I just have one alarm. The one that wakes me up in the morning, which I snooze it repeatedly till my mom becomes the real alarm. Last week, I was just passing by a park in my neighborhood. I came across a toddler who was trying to swipe at something. At first, I thought it was some gadget. But when I had a closer look, to my surprise, it wasn't a phone or a tablet, it was a book. He tapped it, swiped it, and then waited. He looked genuinely offended when nothing happened. Everyone who saw the scene laughed at that moment. Even I laughed. But later on, I realized that it wasn't funny. If this is how it looks right now, imagine what will it become in 10 years. That was a preview of the worst part of advancement. We live in a world that loves upgrades. Smarter toys, AI tutors, progress trackers, and learning apps for babies who can't even say mom yet. Right from the moment a child is being born, we start asking questions like, are they learning fast enough? Are they stimulated enough? Are they ahead? But somewhere along this journey, childhood stopped being a phase and started becoming a project. Generation Beta is being born right now. They won't remember a world without algorithms or screens suggesting them what they ought to do next. Now imagine all of you are having Apple Vision Pro right in your hands. Now imagine you're wearing them and come along with me into an augmented reality world where we explore two different time periods. First, let's go 30 years behind the present time period and enter into the era of Battle of Buddies before the emergence of gadgets. Here let's meet Arjun, who is 15 years old. Every morning, his alarm rings at 6:30 a.m. Just like me, he snoozed it twice, but then he has to wake up as his mom shouted from the kitchen. When he looked at the clock, he is already late. He rushes to school. And at school, there's a math problem that he doesn't understand. He stares at it. Then with a lot of hesitation, he copies it down. During break, he eats quickly and rushes to the ground to play. He and his friends sweat, shout, laugh, and argue. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but they always enjoy it. At evening, he took the same math problem again. He tried solving it, but didn't get answer at the first place. He tried it again, and to his surprise, he got the answer. At that moment, that small smile, it feels completely earned. During dinner, his entire family would sit around the table and discuss their day. Each one had their own thoughts to share, and those dinners were truly memorable. At night, when he goes to bed, he is so tired, but he is peaceful and he is not anxious about the very next day. Now, let's go ahead the present time period to 15 years ahead and enter into a new time period, the era of screens, scores, and schedules. Here, let's meet Mira, who is also 15 years old. Every morning, her robot assistant wakes her up at 6:30 a.m. Before she even gets out of bed, notifications like, today's learning task is pending. Performance slightly lesser than yesterday. Incomplete practice test. And much more are already flooding the robot screen. She hasn't even brushed her teeth yet, but she already feels behind. She doesn't stay confused for a long time, but she has never experienced the joy of figuring out something on her own. Her school doesn't happen like ours. You can no longer see children going in school bus, wearing traditional uniforms, carrying a backpack. All you could see is a child sitting in front of a robot, connecting virtually to another robotic teacher. For every test, her mindset is like, I did not study for this. Let me open my luck. And for every AI-generated question, she gives an AI-generated answer that is in turn checked by another AI system. This is how her lives go on. And before taking selfie with her friends, she doesn't say, smile please, or say cheese. She says, wait for 4 seconds. AI hasn't fixed your face yet, because AI gives a better jawline than reality. She has no friends like us. I mean, not the human friends like us. Wherever she turns, all she could see is machines and robots trying to be friendly with her with a lot of programmed instructions. At night, she goes to bed being so tired. She's not tired from playing. She is tired from performing. Her performance is very simple. She just has to mimic a machine. That's all. And now we saw about 2 students. One is Arjun and the other is Mira. Both are students of the same age. Both are intelligent. Both are trying their best. One is learning how to live the life, while the other is learning how to cope up with these systems and expectations. The real question right now isn't which student is smarter. The actual question is, are we trying to create a childhood in which children can enjoy, or are we creating a childhood in which they must constantly strive to survive? A few decades back, there were no advanced medical facilities, and pregnant women trusted on the advice given by elderly women. They stayed at homes, and deliveries usually took place with the help of assisted midwives and elderly women. A few years later, this changed, and cesarean delivery became almost normal. And right now, normal delivery is seen as a rare case. This is one of those instances where what was once seen as complicated is now seen as normal. Then what will happen to the very existence of what we call as normal? Now let's talk about boredom again. Boredom is like a root from which curiosity starts growing its branch. It's where imagination quietly knocks and says, hey, what if? But today, boredom lasts only for 8 seconds, right until someone hands over a screen. We try to convince ourselves saying, it's educational, it's safe, it's better than what we had. And some of it really is. But here's the thing about optimization. When you design something for efficiency, you delete anything that looks unnecessary, like daydreaming, wandering, or being bad at something for a very long time. These are not the flaws in childhood. These are the features of childhood. And we teach our children how to perform before we teach them how to wonder. We teach them how to succeed before we teach them how to taste and accept failure. Yes, failure. Failure is slow. failure is uncomfortable, and failure doesn't look good on a progress chart. But failure isn't a bug in childhood. It's how childhood works. When you remove failure from children, you don't raise confident ones. You raise anxious children. And remember one thing, that only the ones who have tasted failure in life can become successful. Now here's an uncomfortable question. If a child is constantly told what to do, what to watch, and what they are good at, when will they learn to discover about themselves? If every hobby, every interest is recommended, every weakness corrected early, and each and every moment optimized, when will they have time for self-discovery and self-realization? One day, Generation Beta might not say, what do I want to be? Instead, they'll ask this question as, what am I supposed to be good at? And that quietly changes everything. Let me be clear. I am not here to speak against the advancement in technology, because technology isn't the villain. It's us who are going to be villains. It's not because we don't care, but it's because we are confident. You heard me right. It's because we are confident. We are confident that faster is better. We are confident that more data means better outcome. And we are confident that childhood needs fixing. But childhood doesn't need fixing. It just needs protection and space to explore. Every dream, every breakthrough, and every invention started at someone wondering. If Auguste Kekulé had never daydreamed about a snake biting its own tail, what we know today as the resonance structure of benzene may have never existed. If James Watson had never envisioned the double helical structure of DNA, modern biology would have taken a different form. If Nikola Tesla hadn't daydreamed, hadn't experimented, wireless technology and much more may have never emerged. And as a student, Larry Page imagined downloading various web documents into few old computers. This served as the base for what we know today as Google. Now imagine your life, my life, and this modern world if Larry Page didn't imagine it long back then. This is how imagination, creativity, and daydreaming has created history and inventions. One day, Generation Beta might look up at us and ask, why is everything tracked? Why is nothing private? Why am I always told on what am I supposed to do instead of just being allowed to live? And hopefully, our answer might be, we thought we are helping you. But what we could do is to give room for silence, give space for boredom, and allow permission to fail before we force them to succeed. Let's teach our future generation on how to think rather than forcing them on what to think. For Generation Beta, the most radical gift won't be more technology. It'll be more time. Time to wonder, time to explore, time to be bad at something for a very long time before being good at anything. Generation Beta is being born right now. So before we add another upgrade, before we add another tracker, and before we set another reminder, maybe we pause and ask the question we failed to answer. What kind of generation are we trying to raise? It's not about what skills they list or how quickly they'll adapt, but it's about who they'll become when no one is watching them. So let's not try to minimize imagination while we try to maximize output and optimize lives. Let's take this pause and give them the space they deserve. Because progress should never come at the cost of curiosity. And remember one thing, childhood is not a prototype. It's a foundation. And once you build it, you don't get to rebuild it again. So let them be bored. let them imagine, and let them live as humans. Thank you.